The Switch 2 review is out from Digital Foundry and it's really interesting, and since they're the pros, I think we should talk about it. I've had my Switch 2 since the launch, but I'm not a tech pro, so I've only been able to tell you what I've experienced as a regular gamer. And Digital Foundry is renowned for going in depth and really picking up all the different pixels and all the different frames, and they're able to give you some real in-depth information. And they just released a 2-hour video where they speak about their likes and dislikes of the Switch 2, and some of them are pretty obvious and some were really unexpected. For starters, like is common knowledge, it feels much more premium and it's a really nice size, just big enough that it feels really luxurious, but small enough that it's still somewhat portable. And even though the biggest complaint is the battery life, Digital Foundry said that they found that the Switch 2 is actually really conservative with battery usage and they were really impressed by it. But the biggest complaints they had really surprised me, not because I think that they're wrong, but because I wasn't really aware of it as an average gamer. Because Digital Foundry's biggest complaints were the screen. One, the VRR, and two, the HDR. Because they pointed out that the screen only really reaches like 420 nits, something along those lines, and that's not really HDR. So Nintendo pushing that it's an HDR handheld, but then not having an HDR screen was really surprising. And then there's VRR, the big feature that Nintendo was pushing, and people were shocked when they removed it from the docked mode, but it turns out the handheld mode isn't much better. Because according to Digital Foundry, a lot of the developers aren't implementing it properly, and it seems to be bottoming out at 40 frames a second, when VRR should be capable of 1 frame a second in order to be able to give the smoothest image possible. But the overall consensus is that it's a substantial upgrade from the Switch 1, especially if you're playing old games, it actually boosts them in a really nice way. They're just really disappointed that the screen seems to be really subpar. They even say that the original Switch 1 launch version has a better screen than this one does. What is your take on this review? Let me know.